There is one behavior that almost every U.S. professional does daily without realizing it. A behavior that feels like a strength. A behavior that gets praised in performance reviews. A behavior that you have probably built your entire identity at work around. And it is the single fastest way to make yourself easy to replace. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Subscribe right now, because what I am about to show you is the difference between being valuable and being indispensable. Let me tell you about someone you have probably worked with. There is a man somewhere in a U.S. corporate office right now who is the most reliable person in his department. When something needs to get done, he gets it done. When there is overflow work, he absorbs it. When a deadline is impossible, he works the weekend. He has trained himself to be the person who can be counted on for anything. His manager loves him. His colleagues depend on him. His performance reviews praise him relentlessly. In 8 years, he has not been promoted once. Now compare him to someone who joined the same U.S. company 3 years ago. This second person is competent, but she does not absorb overflow work. She does not work weekends to save other people's deadlines. She does not let her time be claimed by anyone who asks. She is good at her core responsibilities. She handles them with quality. But beyond that, her time is hers. In 3 years, she has been promoted twice and is being considered for a director role. The difference between these two professionals is not work ethic. The difference is that one of them spent 8 years making himself maximally useful. And useful is exactly the trait that keeps people in their current role forever. Here is the uncomfortable mechanic. In U.S. workplaces, the more useful you are in your current role, the harder you become to promote out of it. Think about it from your manager's perspective. If you are the person who absorbs every emergency, fixes every problem, picks up every task nobody else wants to do, what happens if you move up? The emergencies still happen. The problems still need fixing. The overflow still needs absorbing. But now your manager has lost the person who made all of that disappear. So even though your manager genuinely likes you, even though they say you are essential to the team, even though their performance review of you is glowing, there is a quiet incentive operating in their mind. The incentive is to keep you exactly where you are. You have become too valuable in this seat to move. This is the deeper version of the competence trap I introduced earlier in this channel. Reliability is the trait that keeps you in place. Indispensability is the trait that gets you promoted. Those are completely different things, and most American professionals confuse them their entire careers. A reliable person can be counted on to do their work well. An indispensable person creates outcomes that nobody else in the organization can create. A reliable person makes the team's life easier. An indispensable person makes the senior leader's life easier. A reliable person says yes to every request. An indispensable person says no to most requests, so they can say yes to the ones that matter. Drop the word replace in the comments right now if you have been the reliable person in your office and watched less reliable people advance past you. I want to know how many people have made this exact trade. Now here is the deeper layer that most U.S. professionals never reach. The behavior that makes you easy to replace is not laziness. It is the opposite. It is over-availability. The person who is always available to help, always saying yes, always picking up the call, always answering the email at 10 p.m. That person feels like a hero in their own mind. The system sees them as utility. And utility is interchangeable. Senior leaders in U.S. corporations do not promote utility. They promote scarcity. The person who is hard to get on the calendar. The person who you have to wait to speak to. The person who has boundaries around their time and attention. That person looks scarce, and scarce things appreciate in value. The reliable man in our story has trained his organization to see him as a utility. His manager calls him at 9 p.m. and gets an immediate response. Senior leaders bypass his manager and email him directly because they know he will respond fast. Colleagues add work to his plate because they know he will absorb it. Every interaction reinforces the same message. His time is freely available, so it must not be very valuable. The woman who has been promoted twice operates differently. When she is asked to take on extra work outside her priorities, she says, "I would like to help, but my current focus is on the client deliverable, and I do not want to compromise its quality." When a senior leader emails her at 10 p.m., she responds the next morning, not at midnight. When colleagues try to claim her time for low-value meetings, she declines and offers a more efficient way to get them the information they need. She is not difficult, she is not uncooperative, she is selective. That selectivity creates a perception of scarcity, and scarcity creates value. Machiavelli wrote that a prince should never make himself too accessible to his subjects, because constant access breeds contempt and reduces authority. The same principle operates in modern U.S. corporations. The leader who is always available eventually becomes invisible. The leader who is carefully available remains commanding. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should treat our time as the most valuable resource we have, because once spent, it cannot be recovered. Most American professionals treat their time as if it is infinite. They give it away to anyone who asks. Powerful people treat their time as finite, and that finiteness is what makes their time valuable to others. Now here is what to do with this starting this week. Identify one recurring request you currently say yes to that does not move your trajectory. It might be a meeting that should be an email, a task that should belong to someone else, an evening commitment to work that should wait until morning. This week, say no to that one specific recurring claim on your time. Not aggressively, not with explanation, just, "I am not able to do that this week," or, "I think that would be more efficient handled by someone else." That is it. One no per week. The first time you do it, the person who is used to your reliable yes will be slightly surprised. That is okay. The second time, they will start to recalibrate their expectation of you. The third time, they will start treating your time differently because you have started treating it differently. Within a month, you will have reclaimed several hours per week of time previously claimed by people whose priorities were not yours. And the perception of you inside your organization will begin to shift. You will no longer be the reliable utility. You will become the selective professional whose time has weight. That is the foundation of being treated as indispensable. The reliable man in our story is still in the same role today. He is still answering emails at 10 p.m. He is still the most useful person in his department. The woman who said no to most requests is now a director leading 3 teams and being recruited externally at twice her current salary. The difference was never effort. The difference was that one of them built a career around being useful. The other built a career around being valuable. In U.S. workplaces, useful keeps you in place. Valuable moves you up. Like this video, if it showed you a pattern you have been living without noticing. Share it with someone who is the most reliable person in their office and cannot understand why they are being overlooked. They need to hear this. And subscribe. Because in the next video, we go into one of the most painful truths in this entire series. Why loyalty is rarely rewarded in U.S. workplaces, and why the people who give the most loyalty often receive the least back. Do not miss it.